Hi, welcome back to the Forever is the Soul Journey, Andrew MacWha's relatively new novel. It came out in July and it is now October. And we would like to throw out a big thank you to everybody for watching these videos, and I really hope that everybody enjoys watching them as much as we enjoy making them. So our numbers are coming up on Facebook and YouTube and on our website, so thanks everybody, and I hope you keep enjoying them in the future. This week is Chapter 7, Purgatory. That sounds a little ominous, doesn't it? Many of these chapter headings sound somewhat ominous. So the subtitle this week is In Life We Project Our Beliefs Forward, and in Death We Overcome Our Beliefs. So here we go with Chapter 7. Enjoy.
Purgatory, Chapter 7. In life we project our beliefs forward, in death we overcome our beliefs. What does that mean? I always say that. What does that mean? Purgatory, in its pure literal translation, is sort of an interim period between between life and heaven. It's where the soul goes to introspect on the life that it lived, and it's in an Eastern term, it was karma. It's like, what was its karma? What did it learn? What did it evolve into before it gets to heaven? Catholicism sort of sees it as a penalty almost. You're in the penalty box, go here before you get to heaven. So it's got a lot to do with just a recapitulation, if you will, as to the life that you lived. And you're in this interim period. There's associations with it being dark, where there's nothing there, this kind of stuff. I don't know if I completely agree with that, but at the same time, I respect that we all have beliefs, and that in reference to the subtext of Purgatory, it's in life we project our beliefs forwards, in death we overcome our beliefs. To me, there's a process of assimilation, which is really what I tried to talk about throughout the book, is what happens to Dennis in the process of assimilation that he goes on as he lets go of his egocentristic patterns, his belief structures, what he believed life was. In his case, he didn't necessarily believe in an afterlife until he realized that he was now dead, and that the body that he had once inhabited is now sitting there in front of him, and there's nothing he can do about it other than be the consciousness that he's experiencing that moment, which then proves to him beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is something after death. So that's in the very, very beginning of the first 3 or 4 paragraphs of the book, where Dennis is going, okay, I'm overcoming my beliefs. It's like in death, we overcome our beliefs. Only because we begin to recognize that we're more than what we perceived ourselves to be, unless one has a very strong faith in whatever. It could be a religion that promises an afterlife. It could be just a philosophical sense that you may have, or something innate within you that says that there's something beyond just this more physical, mortal being that we are. So as the story unfolds, we get to Chapter 7, there's an assimilation going on between the main characters, where the energy field that they're beginning to understand they share gives them this sense of introspection, where they recognize that the resistances, not unlike life, our resistances often hold us back from our next discovery. Resistances would be a representation of fear. I'm fearful about whatever it is, and because I'm fearful and resistant, and in that resistance, I'm holding myself back. Well, in the spirit realm, in energy, you don't have the biological imperative. You don't have all the gray matter influencing your perception. You have the beliefs that you carried from life into death that hold you into a restriction. But it's not the same, because energy is much more mutable than the physical structure itself, and it's faster. Once we get out of the physical form, the energy field that we're dancing in is by intent pulling us through what it is we need to understand regarding the life that we had just ended. Again, I'm emphasizing this is a fictional book, unless, of course, you want to believe it's true. I believe it's true. But I'm not suggesting that you do. It's just a great fictional story that talks about a lot of different aspects of what it is to be human. And even the metaphor that I speak throughout the book of the grid and death is and when I say metaphor, it's like it happens in real life as well. I believe that I can write a book. I believe that. Okay? Consequently, I was able to do that. Where does it come from? It comes from a thought. The thought is, I believe I can write a book. Well, in my case, it was the thought first, and then it took a lot of time to believe that I could actually write a book. And I think everything is that way. You know, I want to start a business. I want to fall in love. I want to build an empire. Whatever it is that you're feeling you want to do has to come out of some form of belief. And these beliefs may not be entirely right to your soul, to the energy that is driving you. And that's where conflict comes in, where something innate is telling you, you could do this, which may necessitate the letting go of a lot of things that are actually encumbrances, although the ego doesn't perceive those encumbrances because it often gets rewards from those things. And that in itself, when you're encumbered, can be a form of purgatory, where the thought of who and what you are, where you are within your life, is encumbered by so many outer values and other things that your ego is deemed as important. It creates a sense of void almost. And it's like, oh, I can't see beyond my stuff, or I can't see beyond what I think is important. Think, back to thinking, belief. What I think is important impairs me from opening. And I think the objective in life, as I understand it, is that it is a journey. It's just very tight in comparison to the soul's journey. The soul might have 1,000,000 lifetimes to figure it out, or 1,000. It doesn't matter the number. In our lives, we're sort of compressed into this little physiological reactive organism, and we have a lot of things to figure out. And often we become blocked and resistant, and therefore move ourselves into a lower feeling of what is life, often denouncing anything beyond the immediacy of our function. Especially in today's world, you know, you go back 100 years ago, church and community were so entwined that most people would go to church, would go to a community feeling that would give them some reinforcement and some diversion from the repetition of the day-to-day ritual of life. Think about, you know, your job as a farmer would be hoeing fields for hours on end. A woman would have to do the washing, and there was no machine to put anything. It was all hand labor. So there was sort of a mundanity to the intellectual function. It became very repetitive. And church and community became the gold light at the end of the week, where you could at least communicate and interact with people beyond and conceptualize something beyond just the pure physical survival. And again, physical survival, if it's not filled with joy and happiness and light and progression, regardless of age, you could be 12 and figure this out, or 60 or 80, or it doesn't matter. It's all about learning to feel a connection with, as I've said in all the other videos, something innate within you. It's that feeling that says, I don't need all this stuff anymore. It's kind of like a purgatory to me. I'm going to start to get rid of it. I used to, this was years ago when I was going through some shifts in my perspectives, I used to say to Elise all the time, I'm going to systematically eliminate anything that brings me discord. Little did I know my whole life would begin to change when I started to tune more into what is innate, what is the feeling, as opposed to the thought. The thought is a derivative of programming. Someone said that success was this. Did I believe that? Well, I did when I pursued it, but did it fulfill me? And when I go back and I think of purgatory, I can see that there's been definite periods in my life, my physical life as Andrew, where I can relate to the idea of purgatory. I live in sort of a vacuum where the interrelationship between my own perceptual awareness, my own intellect, is so focused on the immediacy of putting out fires. Fires would be clients and responsibilities, and in my case, staff, and all this type of stuff. That introspection, that time to just be attuned to who and what I am, wasn't there to me. It wasn't there for me. I created that, and my beliefs, you know, in life, held me into a way, a behavior, if you will, that that very much felt like a purgatory. I could see the light, so I could see heaven, if you will, metaphorically, but I couldn't really quite release it until I was willing to, in a sense, another word I play with, or another sentence I play with, and I like it, it's fun. It's to die without dying. To die without dying is to find passivity within all of the egocentricities and values, and mom said, and dad said, and the Pope said, and this person said, and on it goes. All those patterns that do so hold us to the physical realm. Moving beyond that for me was sort of moving into a heaven. So, even the biblical quote, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Well, what does that mean? To me, it meant that heaven is all around us, and it is our will. You can externalize it and say it's God's will, or you could even extract God into what is innate within you if you want to. But it is the ability to start to relinquish aspects of perceptions that lead to darker feelings or more repressive feelings. Anything that isn't love, to me, is fear, and all the other emotions that we encounter. It's kind of like we're balancing between our physical mortal being, which is basically animalistic and tied to the limbic system and all that kind of stuff, and very fear-based in response. And then love. What is love? Love is the light. It's the wonder that I can do this with will. I can just simply think for a second, and my fingers will do what I want them to do. That to me is very cool, and I don't take that for granted. And to move to a place within yourself. And I think that that's really what my characters in the book are doing at this point. They're starting to integrate. They're starting to converge, words I've used in previous conversations. They're starting to converge. They're starting to come into a wholeness of being. And they recognize that, and not in a negative way. There's no negativity here. It's not negative. It's introspective. Oh, I get it. Maria makes this statement, a half-life lived. What she's recognizing is she became so intellectually based that she negated her emotional body. And when she understood that, it was a liberty and a freedom that she encountered, where her intellectual body, not that it created a darkness, but it became so repetitive, just what she did and how she did what she did. It restricted a big part of her life that she innately knew she wanted to live, but she felt locked in resistance. Back to sort of her beliefs created the resistance that impaired her from seeing the all that she was. So she broke into parts. And we probably all do that. I certainly did at one point in my life, many points in my life, where I break into all kinds of other pieces. Where writing the book and telling the story and sharing these videos has helped me find a fullness that I always sensed heaven, but wasn't able to pull down earth and truly live. And if these videos are helpful, and I do want to take a moment and say thank you. I'm encouraged. There's a lot of people watching these. If I could ask anything in the universe, of the universe, it's like I'd love to see some comments, whether you like the videos, whether you have questions, whether you're connecting with them. You don't need to write a book, just a few comments would be really cool to start feeding or seeing come back from these videos. I'm going to continue to do them anyway, and I'm hoping that people continue to watch, but I'd love to see some interactivity. So these are my thoughts on purgatory, and in a sense, in the whole idea of what is a simulation. I'll leave this plane someday, and Andrew will become a bigger part of what he is, and whatever beliefs that I have that impair me from understanding what it is we truly are will no doubt fade away. I will overcome my beliefs when I leave this world. Thank you for coming along on the Forever is the Soul journey, and have a great day.